Hello, everyone. If everybody is able to hear me, please type yes in the chat box. Is everyone able to hear me? Okay, great. I see that you all are able to hear me. So for now, I have placed everybody on mute, but don't worry, we'll unmute you at towards the end of the session so that we can talk and discuss anything that needs to be. So as of now, you're all on mute. Please use the chat box to interact with me. I'm just going to give it another minute, let everyone join in, and then we'll begin. All right, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen. If you can see my screen, please type yes in the chat box so I know everything's in place. Does everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, it sounds good. All right. All right, so good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. So today's session, as you all already know, is about making the most while you work from home. And before we begin, I wanted everyone to please quickly write a short introduction of themselves. Simply your name and what profession do you belong to is enough. So since we are all already on mute, please put that in the chat box and that will be our introduction. Please put in your introductions. Right, I see uh, there are people putting in their introductions. Let's do that. All right. All right, so we have software engineers, we have database administrators, we have somebody who is a yoga and meditation healer coach in Mumbai. All right, we already have a trainer who's an MBA in finance and accounts. Okay, nice. All right. Okay, sounds good. So we have people from a lot of different areas, and that makes me really happy because we have people with varied perspectives with us today. So, with that, I would also like to formally introduce myself. Uh, some of you already know me. For those of you who do not know me, first, I would like to begin by saying thank you for putting the trust in me and joining me today. So, my name is Mayuri Karkhanis. I have been a trainer for around 5.5 years. My current title that I hold in my job is that of an assistant manager. However, I love training, and training is my passion. I also want to help people adjust to change and want to be the change maker. And I am very passionate about productivity and helping people be more productive. A couple of my hobbies and interests include reading, paper craft. I like doing a lot of DIY projects by looking at stuff on YouTube. So those are a couple of things I do. And of course, I am here because I want to make a difference. And I thought this might be a really good time to come up with a session that will help everyone stay on track during these testing times. So to begin with, 2020 has been a year of a big surprise for all of us. It has caught us all off guard in one way or the other. But the common thing that happened here is all of us were expected somewhere to work from home. So each and every one of us, in some way, is inside the house and is still expected to work. So that is the challenge that we have been faced with during these testing times. And I think that is one of the reasons why I picked up this as a topic to talk about today. So all of us are dealing with this crisis in our own way. Some of us are also helping others. We have stepped up, gone out of our way and helped people. So yes, a lot of that good is happening all around us. But there are still a lot of challenges, and there are still a lot of internal struggles that we want to talk about and deal with. Step one, of course, is showing up. And I want every one of you to please give yourself a pat on the back for joining me today, simply because showing up is step one. So we are among the top 5% of people who have actually shown up to the webinar. So registering or showing interest in a webinar is one thing, but actually opening up your laptop, logging in, opening up your phone, and actually being present is already one step ahead. So congratulations to everybody for taking that step ahead. And we are definitely among the top 5% people who are taking action rather than just ideation. So today's session is divided into two parts. In part one, I want to talk about what should we do to ensure that our inner world, which is our mind, is in place, is in a happy place, stays sane, and also functions at its best. So part one is going to focus on the inner work. And part two, I'm going to talk about 10 things that you can do in the outside world or the physical world that we're in that are going to help you during this lockdown period. So in part one, there are 5 tips I would like you to follow, and I'm going to talk about them one by one. You are free to make comments. Please use the chat box to provide your feedback. If you have questions, keep typing them as well. So the very first tip I have for all of you, and before I'm just going to give you a disclaimer before I say this. For a lot of you, this may sound like it's very trivial, but trust me, it's a very powerful technique that I have been applying myself, and that has helped me stay on track. So the first tip is to say out loud the date and time when you begin your day. Now, how is this going to help? I want everyone to please be honest and tell me how many of us in the first 2 weeks of the lockdown completely lost track of time. We had no idea what the date was at some point during the week. We had no idea what time it was. We started having lunch, dinner at different times. Our sleep schedules changed. So a lot of us have faced this problem, and I noticed that one simple trick, one small trick, changes something in your mind. So when you begin your day, say out loud that today is the 26th of April 2020, or write it down. That's even better. If you are somebody who makes lists, if you're somebody who writes a diary, I'm sure you're already doing this. But if you are not, this is one small but powerful technique to orient yourself. And added bonus, writing down the date and time sometimes also reminds you of events that you might have usually forgotten. I have remembered 3 birthdays just in the month of April by doing this. So that's an added bonus. But yes, definitely going to help you. Also, I feel personally in my workspace, this idea of writing the date has reminded me of certain milestones and certain goals and where I stand with respect to time. So that is one of the added advantages as well. So that is my tip number 1. Tip number 2 is kind of like an addition to tip number 1. I would like you to say out loud or write down one thing that you're grateful for today. Now, I am sure that a lot of you have heard about the power of gratefulness. It's the highest vibration you can feel. We've heard So many motivational talks, so many influential people talk about gratefulness. And trust me, it works like magic. Just one thing in the morning that you can think of that you're grateful for, feel it, write it down, say it out loud if necessary. If this is a person you're grateful for, please tell them. It's very important to do that. So please do that. And this could be something small. This doesn't have to be something huge or something that makes a huge impact in your life. It could be something small as well. For example, today in my journal, I wrote down that I'm very grateful for Big Basket. They're still delivering milk in my area. They have not missed a single day of deliveries in our area. So, yes, small things also matter. You could be happy about how the weather is in the morning when you wake up. That's also one thing to be grateful for. And going to the more serious side of things, we are so grateful for our jobs, right? This crisis has given rise to a lot of unrest. A lot of people are already out of their jobs. So if you still have a job, please be grateful for the same. Say it out loud, write it down if necessary. So tip number two, you can improvise. If there are more things you're grateful for, please write down an entire list. The more you are grateful for, the better. And I'm sure you have heard of the law of attraction. So the moment you get yourself into the vibration of gratefulness, you will attract more things to be grateful for in your life. So that was tip number two. Tip number three. Now, this is one of the things that I completely believe in and I follow as much as I can. Make a written plan for your day. Stress on the word written. Now, all of us kind of know what we want to do throughout the day. We have it in here, we think about it. But very few of us actually write down a plan. I would recommend that follow this as a daily procedure. Make sure you write down everything you want to achieve in the day. Be sure to include your household chores as well, especially during quarantine, right? Your list is going to be longer because you're working as well as you are taking care of all the things that you need to at home, right? Especially people who have children at home, they have a lot more to do than some of us who don't. So make that list, write down everything. This is something that I pulled up from my diary. This is one of the lists that I had made recently. So I started my day with a team meeting, after which I had some things to do in isolation, some activities work related. And then I began with my household activities as well. And of course, include the small little things here and there. So you feel more, a sense of more achievement when you tick off each of these things from your list. One of the things about making a list that I have also noticed is that it gives you a sense of confidence in the morning itself. For example, your mind is already set. There are a lot of people I have noticed who make lists in the morning. If that works for you, fantastic. But what I have noticed is when you sit down to make a list in the morning, you spend a lot of energy thinking at that time of the day. And that is when you are most active, right? In the early mornings. So I plan my day one day in advance. Don't try to make that list right in the morning. It might take up a lot of your mind bandwidth. But if it works for you, fantastic. As long as you make that list and get everything on paper, it's all good. Tip number four, I think this is an extremely important point to note right now. I'm sure a lot of us are already doing this anyway, but I would still like to insist, please pick up the phone, connect with close friends, connect with loved ones, make that call. Even if your friends are overseas, a lot of our friends are overseas, I understand. Schedule these calls, ask them for time, make sure that you do this for your own mental health, for your happiness, to stay motivated during these times. That connect, human connect, that we have unfortunately lost at this time can be established with this. So please do this. And I've noticed a lot of people do this, but they do this once in a while. I would recommend to do this at intervals, and it will keep you very positive. It has worked well, very well for me actually. So please do this. It's going to really help you stay in good shape mentally. And stress on people who are staying alone. This is extremely important for people who are staying alone as well. That brings us to tip number five, which I consider is the most important tips out of the 5 tips I have shared so far. Avoid reading or watching news first thing in the morning. Now, please don't misunderstand me here. I'm not trying to tell you that you shouldn't watch the news. That is not the message I'm trying to send here. I'm telling you, do not watch the news first thing in the morning. A lot of us in our families have the television switched on early in the morning and the news is running in the background. I would request you to avoid that. One simple reason: 80% of what we watch on the news today is related to COVID. Do you all agree? Most of it is related to COVID. We are getting updates on the death toll, we are getting updates on what is happening in certain parts of the country. I would recommend that watching the news should be a family activity, maybe towards the evening, especially if you have just one television in the house. It should be a community activity where the family comes together, watches 10 minutes of news in the day, in the evening, to catch up with what's happening. So you're not completely disconnecting yourself from the news. And I want you to please focus on this sentence here, which I have mentioned: choose not to participate in the panic. Please focus on the word choose here. The moment you make it a choice, it becomes a part of what you control, right? So you have to consciously choose not to participate in the panic. How do we do that? One, like I said, please watch news only at a designated time and limit it to a certain number of minutes. And two, I would like you guys to really try this. This has worked really well for me, especially people who watch the news and start to feel anxious after looking at the number of cases, or looking at maybe, something's happened in your area related to COVID. So say to yourself that I will watch the news for 10 minutes today. And after I'm done watching the news, I will not dwell on it, or I will not think about it once I'm done watching the news. So this is one thing that will immediately change something in your mind and say, okay, I'm here to watch the news. I'm here to get my updates. And after that, I'm going to do only what is expected from me. Also, another thing I wanted to mention here is, especially for people who are anxious about the news that you see and everything that we see on the TV today. I want you to ask yourself two questions. Number one, am I qualified to do something about this, or can I do something about this? Now, the answer to this question will only be yes if you are a medical doctor, or if you're working in some essential services, essential services industry, or somebody who is supporting the provider, the healthcare provider side. So if the answer to that question is no, then you have your answer. There is absolutely no reason to panic, because you can do good by simply staying at home and doing your job. Now, the second thing I want you to ask yourself, and this might sound a little crazy, but I want you to ask yourself: is this panic helping my life in any way? Is it adding any value at all to my life? Is it helping me perform better? Is it helping me do more at work, do more at home? If the answer is no, you have your answer. Choose not to panic. Choose not to participate in the panic. So that was tip number 5. That brings us to the end of our part 1, which is about fortifying your mindset. Moving on to part 2. Here I'm going to share with you some tips that you can do. These are very practical tips. These are not based on any heavy concepts or do not require a lot of understanding. These are based on simple things that I have noticed, simple things that I have learned from people. So 10 tips that will make your life easier while you work from home. The first one being, designate a work area for yourself. In your house, decide a spot and keep that area clutter free. Say that this is going to be my workspace for the next X days, since we don't know when this is going to end. Say that this is my designated work area and keep the area clutter free. Now, let me explain what I mean by clutter free. Anything that you don't need for work should not be present in that area. For example, most of us, what do we need for work is we need our laptops, we need our planners or diaries if we use them for work. And sometimes if we have an official phone, we need that. Anything else that you keep in this area is going to distract you in one way or another. For example, if you have dishes from your breakfast left over, that's going to distract you at some point, and you're going to get up in between your work session and going to put it in the sink. So why not have this area clutter free all throughout the day whenever you work? This also goes back to the concept that we've always heard from our parents and grandparents. I'm sure a lot of you remember your parents or grandparents telling you, please do not eat on the bed. Now, why do they say that? Multiple reasons, but one of the reason is that our mind creates connections. Our mind creates connections to our surroundings. For example, how do we know that it's time to sleep? That's when we switch off our lights and we get into bed, is when we know it's time to sleep. So we connect the activity of sleeping with that surrounding and that atmosphere that gets created. So similarly, if you have your gadgets and devices and entertainment devices all around you while working, rather than work, you're going to get inclined towards performing those activities. However, on the other hand, if you just have your work related stuff or at the designated spot, you're only going to focus on work. Nothing should be within the reach of your hands. Something that will distract you, please keep out of the reach of your hands while you work during the quarantine period. Tip number 2 is kind of related to tip number 1, and I know this one is difficult, but I'm going to say it anyway. Tip number 2 is to keep your phones, tablets, and any other entertainment devices, especially entertainment devices, in another room. Now, a lot of you might say, I need my phone, I require my phone for work. Yes, by all means, if it's an official phone that has been assigned to you by your workplace, please have the phone with you. But for those of us who do not rely on phones for work, we should keep our phone in another room. Now, why must we do this and how will this help us? I'm sure everybody knows that on our phones nowadays, we have so many distractions. There are notifications coming from Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, whatnot. There are so many apps that we have on our phone, not to mention news apps as well nowadays. So, all of these notifications and the ringing of the phone constantly is definitely going to distract you. And even if you have great willpower, you're still likely to grab your phone if it is right next to you. So I'm not saying that you need to disconnect from your phone completely. That's not what I'm saying. It's not possible to do that, especially if you are living in isolation or living alone. I'm saying that keep your phone in another room and designate a time, especially during your breaks, is when you can check your phone, look for notifications. So designate a time to check your phone, reply to people who are worried about you, probably messaging you, calling you. Ensure that you do this at the designated time only. Now, for people who are staying alone, uh, our smartphones nowadays have great do not disturb features, right? So if you have a smartphone that has do not disturb, many phones now have the feature to say that allow calls from a certain number. So you can even leverage that technology and say, okay, my phone is going to be right next to me, but it's going to be on do not disturb mode. And I'm going to allow calls from my close contacts just in case they need me or if there is any emergency. So keeping your phone outside your reach is a fantastic way to stop the distractions coming from the phone. Imagine this, you're working, you're at your desk, the phone rings. How likely are you to pick up the phone if it's right next to you versus get up, go to another room and pick up the phone? So that in itself is going to ensure that you pick up the phone only at the time when you think it is necessary for me to go back to my phone and check my phone. So that is tip number 2. Tip number 3, plan your break time and use it to do things that you love to do. Now, a lot of you may say, I don't like to plan my break time. I take breaks whenever I feel tired, or I take breaks when I feel I should. All that also works. But if you plan your break time, there are 2 to 3 things that will happen here, especially the change in mindset I'm talking about. Number 1, you will look forward to the breaks and you will enjoy them much more. You will have these activities planned, right? So you'll look forward to your breaks. And number 2 is you will not delay feeling happy. For example, somebody who says, I'm only going to do the fun parts of my day after 9 p.m. So what's going to happen here is throughout the day, you don't have those little bursts of happiness that you could have if you planned smaller activities at regular intervals. So typically 2 to 2.5 hours is when I usually take a small break. It could vary for you. Some people have really great attention spans and they can sit for 3 hours at a stretch and not need a break. So it totally depends on you. But what I'm trying to say is plan activities that you like to do. It could be watching a funny video. Maybe if you like watching YouTube videos that are funny, you could take a small walk, maybe within your complex or somewhere around. You could decide to paint for about half an hour after the lunch break. So many things that you can do. anything that makes you happy is what you can plan during your break time. Tip number 4. Now, this is a real game changer. In fact, tip number 4 and 5, I want you to pay special attention here. So, tip number 4 is to identify your peak productivity times during the day. Now, a lot of us already know this. Many of us already know that, yes, between 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. is when I'm most active, I'm fresh, I really have good ideas coming to me at this time. Now, what happens if you don't know? If you don't know what is your peak productivity time, give yourself 2 to 3 days just to observe. In this 2 to 3 days, I want you to ask yourself this question at least 4 to 5 times throughout the day. You need to ask yourself, how do I feel right now? And make a note of it in your diary. For example, 3:50 p.m., I'm just taking an example. 3:50 p.m., I open my diary and I say, it's 3:50 p.m. and I'm asking myself, how do I feel right now? I say, I feel a little bit tired. I'm going to make a log of that. So once I see my logs over a period of few days, I will notice that there are times in the day where I feel very energetic, and there are also times in the day where I feel slightly low on energy. You will easily find the trend in a few days. Now, why am I asking you to do this? When you identify your peak productivity zone, the 2 to 3 hour period, typically it is 2 to 3 hours in the day when you are at your peak productive time. What happens when you find this is you can now strategically schedule the most important task of the day or tasks of the day during these 2 to 3 hours. So if there are 5 things on your to-do list, your work to-do list today, schedule the 2 activities that are most important for you to do today during your peak productivity times. What this will do is this will tick those 2 important items off your list for sure. And that is going to avoid a lot of panic later in the day when you feel like you're getting more and more tired. So that is one of the things that you can do. Identify your peak productivity times and schedule activities that are extremely important only during those times. Tip number 5 is related to tip number 4. Just like we have high productivity times, we have those times when we feel really tired, we feel really bored, we feel really sleepy, whatever that may be. For a lot of us, this is time after lunch, right? Especially for those of us who work day shifts. Typically, after lunch is when we feel a little bit low on energy. So, what to do during your low energy time periods? Tip number 5, during these low energy time periods, I would like you to schedule one-on-one conversations or meetings. Now, you might say, how does this make sense? To a lot of people, when I say this for the first time, they say, how does that even make sense? Why do I do this? Now, simple example. Let's say you have a meeting in the morning. You have a team meeting in the morning. There are 8 people on this call. What are the chances that if the project being discussed is not one of your responsibilities, that you're going to put yourself on mute and just listen to the conversation? Maybe sometimes, drift off in between of the conversation. Good chance. There's definitely a good chance. But imagine if the same thing was a one-on-one conversation. You have very small area to not pay attention, or very small margin, I would say, to not pay attention. So what happens in one-on-one conversations is, because you are the only person from whom input is expected, you will automatically listen to the person and you will automatically also stay active. This is one of the things that personally has helped me a lot. Every time somebody says, Mayuri, I need to do a meeting with you, we need to discuss 1, 2, 3. I say, okay, if this is a one-on-one meeting, can we do this at 1:30 p.m.? If the person says yes, great, because I know at 1:30 p.m. when I come back from my lunch, I feel slightly low on energy. I do not want to spend my time trying to create a document and feeling sleepy at the same time, right? So I schedule a one-on-one meeting during those times when I am really low on my energy. So this is one of the things that you can try out as well. And of course, let me know how that's worked for you. It's not necessary it works the same for everyone, but this is one of the things that has definitely worked for me. Tip number 6. I'm sure a lot of us are already doing this. Send or maintain a report log of all the work that you're doing during quarantine. Be it even the smallest item of work that you have completed. Now, for people who are already filling timesheets, I know a lot of companies require their employees to fill in timesheets, and you go ahead and maintain that log anyway. But even if your boss or your manager has not asked you to maintain a log or not asked you for that, maintain it for yourself. Two reasons. One, this will help you understand whether I am really accomplishing something. And the second reason is that if tomorrow somebody asks you what is the amount of work done during quarantine period, you have a report ready. You don't have to look for information here and there and dig into your calendar to see what happened at what on what day. So I would highly recommend you maintain a log. In fact, what I do is I also maintain a log of all the personal work that I get done during the quarantine period. So you can maintain two different lists, and it need not be very fancy. It could be a simple list of things that you are already done with for the day. So maintain that report and send it to the people that need to see it. Even if they don't ask for it, keep it with you and you're ready with it if it is required later on. Tip number 7 is again a very, very important thing to do, which is end of day review. Now, if you're somebody who makes lists, I'm sure this comes naturally. If you made a list, of course, you're going back to it at the end of the day and checking, have I completed all the items on my list or am I still left with something? Now, for people who are just starting out to plan their day or to make lists, initially you might notice that you set up 10 things to do in the day, but you didn't even get through to point number 6. That's a clear indication of the speed. So first few days are going to help you understand whether I am overestimating work or I am underestimating work or I am underestimating my speed. So an end of day review is going to help you understand, what have I done today? Is there anything left over that needs to be planned for? And of course, this is a great time to make a list for tomorrow. Like I said earlier, tomorrow morning is not the best time to make a list for tomorrow. The best time to make a list for tomorrow is tonight, which means when you are about to log out for the day, when you're about to get done with work for the day, is when you should make a list of things that you want to do tomorrow. This is immediately going to put your mind in a very relaxed frame of mind, because you know what you're supposed to do first thing tomorrow, second thing tomorrow, third thing tomorrow. So please don't skip the review. If you've made a list, go back to it, review it at the end of the day. Tip 8, very important. It says, stop working at the decided time unless there is something extremely urgent or important that is still left to do at work. Now, this I cannot stress on how important it is. I cannot stress enough. This quarantine period, I'm sure, has taught us a lot of lessons. I'm pretty sure at least one thing we have realized that we wouldn't have if this wouldn't have happened. One of the things I've noticed is, especially for people who travel long distances to work, all that time that we've saved, the 2 hours that we were traveling, or the 3 hours for some people that they have spent traveling, we have that time at our disposal. If you are just going to stretch your work into those hours, there's nothing different that's going to happen in the quarantine period. So if you have planned your day well, I would recommend decide a time where you're going to stop working, be it 7 p.m., 9 p.m., whatever it is that you have decided, and ensure that you set a timer and say, I'm going to log out at 8 p.m. today, and the rest of the day, I'm going to spend time with my family. I'm going to give time to any of the household activities that I'm left to do. I'm going to spend time with my family. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to pick up the phone, speak to somebody who's not with me, somebody who's far, all of those things. So yes, stop working at the decided time. Tip number 9 is to reward yourself, especially if you are following a plan, and if you're following a tough plan and if you're sticking to the plan, you should celebrate the small wins. For example, if today was the first day you created the list and you were able to complete 7 items out of 9, you should reward yourself. Celebrate the small things. It could be something very simple. It could be a 20-minute nap that you want to take in the afternoon because you feel tired at that time, or you want to watch one episode of your favorite show, or you want to have a dessert, you want to call a friend that you've been wanting to call since a very long time. So go ahead and reward yourself. ensure that this is done periodically. Don't delay it to the end of the day or the end of the week. Do it as your day progresses. Keep rewarding yourself for the small things or the small wins that you have throughout the day. That brings us to tip number 10, which is the final tip of the day, which I want to give you. And this turns out to be a game changer for a lot of people. It has for me, and I hope it does for you too. Tip number 10 is to find someone, a partner, with whom you're going to share your plan. And this person will hold you responsible for your plan and ask you, let them keep checking up on you and ask you that you had 5 items on your list. Were you able to do all 5? Now, if this person is close to you, if this person is a friend, that's even better, because then they'll know what you're really doing or what you're really saying, whether it's true or you're just bluffing that, yes, I got through all 5 items on the list. This is also one of the most important things that will help you beat procrastination. It's strange and surprising how somebody else asking you, did you complete this which you had planned? Weren't you so excited about this? Even one question from somebody else can change a lot of things. I think this has worked wonders for me. Someone else asking you, have you completed what you planned to, is a very, very big thing that will change a lot. It will shift your focus from saying that, oh, I'll do this tomorrow, to, oh, she's going to ask me in the evening, or he's going to ask me in the evening when I completed, whether I completed what this is. You could even do this in your team. You could have somebody who's a colleague share their plan with you, and you share your plan with them, and have them check up on you. And find a person who is really, really going to hold you responsible for the things that you put on your list. So that was tip number 10. And that is the end of the conversation or the session that we're having today. We can now open the session for questions. And I really want to thank all of you again for coming into the session. I'm quickly going to check the chat window. Okay, I see. All right, people have entered what they are grateful for today. That's nice. Please type in any questions if you have any questions about the tips and tricks that we have discussed. Thank you so much. Okay, I don't see a lot of questions. So what I'm going to do now is I would like you to please spend 2 more minutes of your time giving me feedback. So there's a feedback form I would like to share with you in the chat window. It's all right if you miss it, but I would really like you to fill that form. I'll send it to you as an email as well. I'm putting it in the chat right now. Once again, before you all leave the session, I want to say a big, big thank you to everybody who joined in today, spent their 40 minutes of our time with me. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. If anybody has any questions that they would like to discuss, maybe not here, please go ahead and find me on LinkedIn. We can get the conversation starting there. I don't see any questions in the chat window. So I'm assuming we don't have any questions at the moment. If anybody would like to get in touch with me, please find me on LinkedIn. Thanks everybody for attending. Have a good day. Bye-bye.